oh my God, this is going to happen. I'll flutter kick. I'll keep going. I'll keep going. And then I remember I finally just gulped water because I couldn't do it anymore. I remember coming up. I threw up. I just remember throwing up the salt water. He was there, and we're looking at the ship. The props were past us.
Welcome to the Calm in the Chaos podcast, where we discuss untold heroic experiences and dive into the mindset of the Navy's elite rescue swimmers. Hosted by former U.S. Navy Aviation Rescue Swimmer, Mount Everest solo summiteer, and best-selling author Brian Dickinson.
All right, I am excited for our guest today, Bill Gibson. One of my favorite stories in the book. I mean, it's incredible. I can't wait for the audience to hear it straight from the amazing rescue swimmer that just overcame and has overcome so much and just such an exciting life. Bill, welcome.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your invite and your words. I mean, it's just so many after reading the book to hear about everybody's stories, and maybe just I was infatuated when you called the first time when you mentioned you're about doing the book and everything. But greatly appreciate the call and being able to share my story.
Yeah, you are welcome and just an honor. And I remember, yeah, when I was researching for different stories, because it was pretty clinical, like the different stories that I was including in Calm in the Chaos, because I was more trying to get a point of cross or trying to extract what is different about us in our profession that allows us to remain calm in the chaos, to not panic. So I wanted stories looking at different elements, and so many of the fellow rescue swimmers are like, you gotta reach out to Gibson, man. That dude has done something incredible. He's lucky to be alive, and just in the moment, he did the right thing, and fortunately, he came out on the other side, literally.
Yeah, in a way, it all seemed like a dream that night. Yeah, after everything was said and done, and they set me down to go back into berthing and down at HC-16 down to Lexington. I just sat there and in I don't know if it was disbelief or felt like it was a dream or anything.
Nightmare.
Nightmare. Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all.
Yep.
But it helped me quite a bit in my first instructor tour, my second one when they called me back as a civilian, and especially now my third, and I keep reflecting back on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you just gave lots of teasers there.
There
Let's
we go.
back it up
All
and
right.
let's hear about you. Let the audience know who you are. Where'd you grow up?
Uh, Geez. Besides, you got my name, Bill Gibson, of course.
Nice.
Been went into the Navy, signed the paperwork back in 19 September of 82. And I remember as an aviation electrician's mate, I remember going through school in class, and they came in, I want to say two-thirds of the way as in Millington, Tennessee, and they said, "Hey, anybody here would be interested in flying, volunteering for flying?" And they're asking, you lose your set of orders, but hey, it really, I mean, this is so he proceeded to go into it. I said, and listening, he said, "Well, you could do one of two things." And he explained it very simple. He said, "Well, you can load cargo or you can rescue people." And I'm thinking, wow, that rescue people sounds pretty cool. He says, "Great. I want you to go up to, after class is over, we're going to let you over, go up to the second deck and report to Petty Officer so and so. Knock on the door, report properly, and tell me you're volunteering for SAR." And I did just that. And he's coming right in. First question, he says, "You can swim, right?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, I had a pool growing up.
So
I
you
should
think.
be fine." Had no idea what I was getting into. In fact, a lot of my fellow classmates thought I was nuts after, because then the horror stories start coming in
Mhm.
about SAR school. And I don't want to say I was in a panic mode, but I'm like, hey, I felt I was in pretty good shape. I know I could run, but I hadn't really been in the pool or I wasn't the best swimmer. I was a fairly good swimmer, but not according to RSS standards when I first
Mhm.
came in. And I just remember that whole Now I'm hitting the gym. Now I'm getting all excited, and I really said there was no way I'm going to fail this. And sure enough, you've been through it. It was a wake up call. I remember some of the good old. I remember that first week. I reported HS1 in Jacksonville for SAR school, and what they referred to as Hell Day, which was later revamped out. And I just remember the PT swim. It just seemed like all day. The box lunches, and at the end of the day, we earned our UDTs. I remember that night when they had us on the bleachers and gave us the UDTs, and that was such a proud moment uh,
Hmm.
that I even
To get a pair of
did.
shorts, short shorts for
Yeah,
that.
pair of shorts. I remember some things toward the end of the training that Petty Esther Bailey. It's amazing how you remember all your instructors' names. So
Hmm.
there's Petty Esther Stone. Petty Esther Bailey had a few words to say toward the end that really motivated me, got me fired up, and did things. I couldn't believe I made it through at that first week. After that, it was just a continuous weeks of before graduation. But after I graduated at that school, I remember graduation day. There was nothing I couldn't accomplish, and that was by far the best training I had throughout
Hmm.
the Navy. I went through my first squadron HC3 frat training, H-46s. Then from there, went back to Pensacola, HC-16, HCC-16, and it was awesome. Uh, a great time. We transitioned to H-3 helicopters. Also flew some missions and H-1s. Great time at tour. We went on to Lexington. In fact, I got to extend. I was there a total of 5 years. And then March of 88, received orders. My first set of leaving theirs, I had offered and got offered to be an instructor over in Pensacola, which I jumped on. Jamie Vaughn, I remember him over there, was also a fellow student at the time when I went through back in Jacksonville, and he said, "Oh, it's great." And met Randy Donovan, or I went through him at HC-16 there. He also convinced me to come down there, but fantastic. Uh, I loved the instructor duty and was able to parlay that into a great career. Now I'd gotten out after that tour. I went through some hardships, figured I was all set to go to the civilian world and learn some valuable lessons there. But the future, everything turns around for a purpose.
Hmm.
And then early 2000, January 2003, I received a phone call from Master Chief Wiley, and he said, "Hey, would you like your old job back? We're starting this whole civilian contracting deal, and you're going to be an instructor again, teaching a remedial training." So I said, "Oh, it was the best job ever." I said, "Absolutely." Yeah, I took the pay cut, came back in. During the interview, they said, "Well, we're doing things a little bit different. Rather than have you run remedial, we want to bring you in as a full-fledged instructor again." And so that I had to repeat the training, which was we had to go through RSSI. So at the almost the ripe age of 40, it was a bit of a challenge because I hadn't done that intensity or
Yeah.
those levels of training. Went through again and was served there for 8 years. I was there during the time frame when we lost our building 672 during Hurricane Ivan,
Hmm.
and then stood up 4142, now the current SAR school in Pensacola. And unfortunately, the contract went away in 2010, October 1st. So I was traveled down the street down to port operations where I was maintained working until we talked to one of the upper echelon who was once my student back then and said, "Hey, there may be some openings at GS coming up. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Absolutely. If they'll have me back at age 60, I'll I'd love to come back. So and this was just 4 months ago. And as of July 30th, I started again running remedial training and with some other guys there at SAR school. So back at 4142. And we'll
Wow.
see how much longer my body's going to hold up to continue doing this.
You look great. So I think you have a few more years in you.
I hope so. I know my brain says yes. It's just constantly arguing with my body to see how long it's.
Isn't that weird? Although it just doesn't not aligned as you get older.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, a few little more aches and
yeah.
pains, but doing
Yeah.
good so far.
Well, that's what a ride, man. So you've been through the RSS training, was it 3 times?
This last time we just had some basic stuff. I had to go through they didn't get me through RSSI. We had to do the lifeguard training, a lot of the Red Cross stuff,
Hmm.
uh, and just primarily on my own because when I'm slowly building up now, we can take it down a notch and build up the training so that I'm leading the class and getting into. I want to be able to lead, of course, the students and get those back in space. It's just getting the rest of me, as I said, back in it. But even just doing the basic, the Red Cross, the life saving training was rough. We had to go through went through Biswick, the mile swim, uh, just going into swim in the pool, tower jumps again, going underneath, underwater swims. It was a little bit of a challenge for me. There's
Yeah,
no doubt.
I would imagine. That's awesome. And just going through, think of all the different decades that you've had experiences. I mean, most people they go through rescue swimmer school once, if if they're lucky, I guess. You make it through, you do your tours or your whole, whatever, 20 years, and then you get out. But you've had the ability or opportunity to experience all the changes and the evolutions of, I mean, just life saving alone, right, has changed pretty significantly.
A lot of the courses, the PT. I'll tell you the best thing out of it, and you mentioned this because I look at this, I checked onto that base in as a rescue swimmer and going to HC16 in the end of December 83. And so we're talking uh, 41 years ago. And to see all the different uh, the students, all the fellow students that I've taught have come back
Hmm.
and I've seen them over time and seen how their careers have developed. And I've had several come back to me and said, there was something I said, something the other instructors had all did or said, and pushed them to their limits and passed, and how awesome it was. And it's absolutely the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, no, that's so cool to be on that side of it. Can have such an impact. And like we were talking, before Christmas a few weeks ago, just you may do something, say something that has such a almost a butterfly effect, like just a such an impact. You're not even aware, and you'll probably never be aware of it. But we see those people in our lives that maybe said one thing that just created that motivational spark in our life that gave us that hope and purpose, and it really changes the trajectory.
Absolutely. I mean, I still remember my instructors. It's funny. I have one of my instructors over in Jacksonville lives over on the next street, Gary Mitz,
Mhm.
and he was over in Jacksonville and actually came up and opened up the SAR school here in '88. One of the instructors are the fellow plank owners. So it was good. After he left there, he came over to HC16. So it was weird interacting with him as, of course, he was my instructor. So it's always that you're looking up towards us. No, no, we're equals now. We're doing this. And
It's weird, huh?
but
It's like a
gee,
parent-child relationship where you regress. You're like, wait.
yes, it really is because you have those memories of them in a different way.
Hmm.
Uh,
And it's respect.
and it was out of respect. And we got to see them when they pull you aside and you're talking on that one-on-one and why they acted the way they did, and you get a better insight to the school. And of course, that helps you in turn be a better instructor because you learn from that and pass that along.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you want to pivot into the rescue that we talked about in the book?
Yes, we can go into that, and it's one of those things that I didn't see happening. I mean, you're trained for it, you're all set, you're ready to go. While on the USS Lexington, I can stress this the most. I had not been the PT, had it not been the training that I pushed myself through and made. I don't know or believe I would have the confidence to go in and do that without a doubt. But I knew I had to duty that night. It was in April of '87, I believe. And the alarm went off, and I remember them saying, "Boat capsized out there. We're looking 8, 10 foot seas. Boat capsized. We don't know how many people in the water." I thought somebody said they had to report like 20, and it was like,
Yeah,
we're getting an extra swimmer. So we
that
got
initial
swimmers
report.
going on
This was in
board.
the Gulf of Mexico, correct?
Yes, it was in the Gulf of Mexico. A storm, I can't remember exactly one, but it was high seas that night. So we launched and we're searching. Me and Rick Williamson, I know, we're the swimmers, and all of a sudden we after a while we spotted the raft, and the pilot says, "Okay, we're going to let you down. We're going down." It's a different perspective when you're up in the helicopter and you see the swells. It never really looks that bad.
Hmm.
But I remember going down. Me and Eric went down on the hoist, or me and Rick went down on the hoist, and I remember, okay, here's a swell, and then we're underwater. It's pretty much going up and down. So we
Just hits you.
disconnected. We disconnected. We're there, and we're on top of the swell. And I remember us looking for the raft. We saw it up there, and we're down the bottom of the swell. Couldn't see it. Get on top of the swell, looking, couldn't see it. And finally, we looked up at the helicopter, and they were shining a beam of light. So we're sort of looking up and swimming, getting our perspective of what direction to swim. I remember swimming over there. And we both made it over to the raft. And I go on the raft. Hey, are you guys all right? They were just all cold. Okay, I went, back then being the young buck, I looked at the oldest guy and said, "Well, we'll get you out first if everybody's fine." So I uh, got him out, got him a swim, took him over, swam over the raft, signaled up for the helicopter. They moved in. Rescue strap came down, got him in, strapped in, signaled up okay. He went up. I swam back to the raft. One thing I remembered, I got back to the raft and I'm thinking, wow, uh, I'm I'm beat. I'm tired. And we just got one person. Swimming in the sea state and everything is a whole different ball game than laps in the pool. Yeah, I mean, there's
Sure.
no doubt about it. Got him over there. Rick took the second person, so I was glad we had the break, and then I took the third person because we only saw four people in the raft, and of course, the first question asked was there more. We really didn't know how many there were going to be. So
Yeah, because you
raft
had
was all
only the
four.
information that you were fed.
Yeah, again, situation changes instantaneously, and so no, everybody. This was it, just the four of us, and that was good news. So I'm working the third guy, say, "Okay, you're next," swimming him away. And I remember signaling up for the helicopter. There's this drop in the water, and I'm going, and I wish, had I even noticed the vessel to the right, I would have maybe, I don't know if I would have pushed, probably would have pushed a lot quicker to grab that strap and just be dragged out of the way.
Yeah.
And get would have been ideal. But as I was swimming toward it, all of a sudden I see the strop going further away, and I just thought it was a little bit of a hover or thing. But then it's going far away. I look up at the helicopter. I'm signaling up, and as I look, my peripheral catches this 400-foot cargo vessel coming right our way. I remember I could vaguely catch Rick getting in the raft, and I guess from there another swell had come up, and I'm thinking this is how am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do? I just remember flutter kicking outward, but it seemed, I know when the ship's coming right up toward me, it felt like we're getting, as the bow's coming up, every time it rose, we were getting pulled. And
Pulling you
that's
back
why
in.
okay, I gotta really flutter kick hard and plan this so I can, try to keep from going under or banged up against barnacles, everything else. I remember they dropped nets, and I grabbed that. I was trying to prevent the first time. I said, this isn't going to work. And I started flutter kicking with everything. I told him to lay back. He didn't have flotation. I said, if there's anything you could do to help kick on the back, just keep your lay back kick, do whatever you can. I'm going to be flutter kicking as much as I can. And I just kept timing it. That was the longest 400 feet. It
Imagine.
took forever.
Like
And then
how loud was it? I can imagine like a big ship coming down. Do you even remember like the sounds or the temperature of the water, any of that stuff?
I know it wasn't, I know it was cold. I know the water was cold. I know it was cold outside. And I could tell that when they took my temperature back in medical.
Hmm.
But it was just,
Wait, don't give
I was
away that you
just so
survived.
worried. I was so worried about keeping his head up and my head,
Yeah.
keep my snorkel in and moving out, that I just kept flutter kicking. And then I remember looking at the props as we're making our way, and I'm exhausted. And I just remember I said, "Look, You're probably going to go under. I'm going to give it everything I've got, flutter kicking." And that's what I did. I put my head in the much of water and just everything I had. In all honesty, I didn't. I was waiting for the. I didn't know what it was going to feel like. I mean, was it going to? Because I honestly, I'd hoped I was going to get by. I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what good it was going to be doing, but there was still that. Oh my God, this is going to happen. I'll flutter kick. I'll flutter kick. I'll keep going. I'll keep going. And then I remember I finally just gulped water because I couldn't do it anymore. I remember coming up. I threw up. I just remember throwing up the salt water. He was there, and we're looking at the ship. The props were past us, and I just, are you okay? And yeah, yeah, I'm okay. And I just in disbelief there. So I said, okay, we're alive. That's a good thing. So then I go up and I'm looking around, and there's no helicopter. I'm looking. I'm all over the place. I'm looking and I'm going, no, that can't be them, because all I see is this light. I could see the blinking light. They had separated that far, and I didn't think about this till afterwards. But I dug around the flare. But I'm thinking, man, if I didn't have that flare, that was it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they were long gone. But I got the
Be hard to
flare.
find you.
I got the night end. I just remember feeling. I remember, okay, bumps on the night end, bumps on the
Yep.
night end. Pop that, boom. Held it up, and they saw it. And then I remember them coming in, and as soon as they were coming to us, I said, good, they're going to fly over and get us. They marked us, did the approach, and then next thing I know, where I got them in the strop, got them worked up. We made it up to the helicopter. We got. I remember feeling good as we got off the deck, and I think the adrenaline finally started going down. I got woozy because I mean my body temp was down in the low 90s when they
Mm.
took it. They were getting in. I mean, we were both hypothermic. So that made me realize later, I'm thinking, how much longer would we have actually lasted? I had my uh, regular suit plus my Farmer John's on. So I had
Mm.
tandem wetsuits on. So the water must have been still cold enough. And
Yeah.
it just goes in to show you. But I know I can't remember how long we were in the water, but it was for a while.
Yeah.
I know it was
How deep do
40
you think you guys
minutes.
both went as you were being sucked under?
Um, I don't know. It didn't feel like I was getting sucked under. I know it was more I was trying to dive down to go not parallel to the thing. I wasn't trying to go toward the ship. I was, of course, trying to flutter kick and go away from them. I was just waiting for the props to hit. I didn't know it was good. I was hoping they wouldn't, but I just kept flutter kicking.
Yeah.
and until I couldn't do anymore. And that's why I remember gulping the water, and I came up natural instinct, and I just remember throwing up. It's the first thing I did,
Yeah.
and got that stuff out of my system. And when I saw this ship away from us at that point, um, it was, my God, we made it. We're here. And
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the helicopter until I'm looking around. And I can't find the helicopter, and here we are bobbing around out there.
I know. It's like one thing at a
Uh,
time.
yeah, just okay. Okay, what do I got to do? And it took a mind for my mind to process just to get the flare. What am I
Hmm.
going to do? They're not okay. I can't use the night signal. They're not going to see me. Chem light. They aren't going to see that. They would see the normal chem lights. So the flare is what caught their eye.
Sure.
And they came
What
up
was
and
uh what was the survivor doing at this point? So just in total shock, or was he like, is this how every rescue goes down?
he was. I think he was in. I think across. I mean, hypothermia had set in for both of us at that
Hmm.
point. I do know they got us down to medical, and everybody was down there, and then they had to get us in the shower, slowly build up our temperatures, and then rest. But I do remember him, telling me, about his thank you, and my wife and kids thank you, and
Wow.
and everything, and that was just it was a really powerful moment on that, and then I
Hmm.
remember after medical finally let me go and then said, hey, we're going to check you up. You're going to find, go down to berthing. You need rest, sleep, check on you, go back tomorrow morning. And I was out, pretty much. But I laid there for that brief moment, was like, did I just dream this? I mean, did this
Hmm.
actually happen? And it just remarkable when I look back at it, what happened, and it just a memory, but how much I drew
Hmm.
from that rescue and just making it. I'm sure you can encompass that feeling. I mean, when you reached out to me the first time and shared your story with me, on what happened, I'm thinking, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine being in your shoes, being
Right.
up on Mount Everest, and not being able to, blind it, and having to descend on that. I just, first of all, yeah, here I am, a rescue swimmer. I'm not really, heights are not my thing. Don't mind jumping out of a helicopter because I'm gonna hit the water, but don't like walking up on a roof. I'm not fond of that for some reason.
Yeah, but it's similarities, and that's, I think, what kind of draws us together, that brotherhood. But you were in a position of, in all likelihood, you weren't going to make it. I was in that same position at the highest point in the world, but we weren't willing to give up. If we're going to die, we're going to do everything we can to survive. And in your case, to help, you had a reason, that purpose. It's not just you at that point. You could have bailed on your guy. You could have been like, okay, save yourself. You didn't. You went for it. You held on to him. We're gonna get through this somehow. And you did everything in your power, knowing that the odds were definitely against you. It's not if, it's when. But then a miracle happened and you surface on the other side, and you got that moment of, I don't know, just throwing up together and realizing that that's a good thing because we're alive. The fact that we're
Yes,
doing this. Now, next, we need to focus on getting out of here. And, it's all these different steps until finally you're back in your rack and it's all done. And, you're coming down from it and able to process it. And that sometimes that can be the hardest part.
it was like I said, I couldn't even tell if it was a dream or not after, but it actually happened the next day. And then you're writing the report. As I'm writing this thing, I'm going, just shaking my head the whole time I'm writing it. Didn't see anything like that coming. Um, but I did reflect on stuff in SAR school, even when I kick back and I tell people this. And it goes back to Petty Officer Bailey when he's kicked me to get that weight on the bottom of the pool. That's my baby, get my baby. And I'm in the deep end of the pool. I've got both of my calves are cramped, my thighs cramped, and I'm diving down to the bottom of the pool to get up this weight. And he drops it again and screams at me to go back and get it. And I'm not even taking a breath. I'm just going down to get it. It was just the psychological aspects of
Mhm.
doing things like that and pushing yourself past what you believe you can actually do. And if I can instill that to anybody and the students today, and I really push, you're at this level. But once you walk out these doors, you got to raise the bar from here to here to here and keep pushing yourself further. The body is so much capable. And I've used that as my instructor needs. Uh, first marathon I ran, we do our mileage and everything. I remember Lance Gotzi and Jamie Vaughn saying, yeah, we're going to run this marathon. And we're going up to sign up now. You should go. And I'm going,
Okay.
all right, let's do it, And I went down to the gym and signed the paperwork. Hey, it's gonna be tomorrow. And just threw on my sneakers and said, hey, I'm gonna do this. Um, didn't prepare, didn't train. And believe me, my body was not appreciative of me of doing this, but I made it. And it took me 4 hours
Hmm.
to do, but I made that. I made the race. I finished, and those guys didn't catch me until I was back on base. I still had about another few miles to go, but did pretty good. Just finishing the thing and then sprinting
Hmm.
across. But you don't know. It's a lot of the mental. You hit a wall, of course, when you go running, and I think it was about at 16 miles. I'm going, why am I doing this?
Yeah, you made it
And
that
then you
far.
just you keep pushing. No, I don't want to quit.
Mhm.
Your body's telling you stop, and you just know left foot, right, so you keep going.
Yeah,
And it's amazing what the body will do. The human body is incredible.
yeah, yeah. It's such a good piece of wisdom, I think, in just all aspects of life because so many will take the easy route. They'll never even come close to knowing what they're capable of achieving. Stopping is always an option unless you don't make it an option. How much further can I go? And now how much further can I go? A little further. I'm the same in mountaineering. I've been, on the 7 continents, climbing the highest peaks, and I've soloed a lot. That's kind of just I'm comfortable doing that. I think even being in the military, once we leave that helicopter, in most cases, we're on our own, we're operating alone. So I think a lot of us are very accustomed to that. But like you said, there's so many times where I undercomplicate things and I think it out and I just say, why in the heck am I doing this? This is stupid. I'm gonna walk up and I'm gonna walk down. And if that gets in my head, that could actually trip me up. But it's so much more than that. It's because I'm capable, and it reshapes my grit, my experience level. Just who knows what's going to come in our life that if you're not prepared, if you haven't pushed beyond your elements, you're just not prepared to react to those things. So I always say you train for the things within your control, and then you need to be prepared for the things that are outside of your control because there's so many in life.
Oh, absolutely. So I prepare for the worst, hope for the best. The good old
Yeah.
old saying.
So you've had a fun, interesting life outside of the military with I'll let you talk about your little side gig with Christine.
With Christine, yes, yes. That just she'll make sure she want to be mentioned. Plus, I got pictures of her in back on
Let's
the
hear.
board and everything. But no, it was a concoction, and I remember, and it's funny. The first time this came out was December 9th. The movie was released back in '83 when I was in Coronado at the time, finishing up our beloved SEER school and our frac training before I came to Pensacola. And I'd seen the movie, and then I saw it again, of course, when I came to Pensacola with a good buddy. And I just thought it was, of course, being a guy at 19, loved cars. It was a really cool book. Went to see the movie, and then in turn, never seen the car. Always looked for it,
Mhm.
but never
Just so
saw
everyone
one.
knows, this is Stephen King,
Stephen
Christine.
King, Christine, John Carpenter did the movie, and then I had proceeded to years later saw the movie again, wanted to invest, started going into looking around for stuff and replicas, and then ran across this particular car. A lot of things happened, but in between and going and finally coming to a deal, had the car, find out what the car was, and later on in life to go in there. But it turns out this car was purchased by the sound guy's son who worked with John, and he wanted one of the cars that was used in filming, like $1,500, bought the lot of wrecked ones, didn't find anything in the lot. So he had purchased, went into production, found this one that this production guy did not sell the Polar films in this, and bought the car. It was, I can't remember. I think he said he paid like $800 for it, and then Frankensteined it from all the screen used vehicles.
Hmm.
So it basically encompasses a lot from the actual ones that weren't, about 4 or 5 of the screen used ones they got parts from and put it together. The strange and the scary thing with this car in particular is that I found out, and this was back in 2014 when I wrote Chrysler Historical, they sent me the actual build data card, and it shows that this car was actually assembled on October 31st, 1957, Halloween Day. Stephen King, eat your heart out.
Hmm.
And we've been the whole it opened up some just doors on this, but I do horror conventions, major car shows on a part-time basis, and have met some very interesting people. We did some movies. We survived Sharknado. Did several things. Some Stephen King. We were in Castle Rock episode. We just did. We were in Salem's Lot, the new one that just came out this past October, and we will be in May of 2025. We did another cameo, another Stephen King film that will be coming out that I'll
Nice.
mention up on the website.
Okay.
But it's been fun. Just the people I've met and the people's lives I've had to touch in the entertainment side has been
Hmm.
really interesting. I've
No,
had a
it's neat
great.
to follow you on socials and just kind of see like you're the local celebrity of the SAR group, intermingling with all the cool kids.
Oh, it is. I mean, the SAR school has been well, and that's what the whole thing is now. And I think about how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. I mean, the reality is, in my mind right now, I would love to make it to at least 70 is my goal, my
Hmm.
first initial goal. But if I'm still feeling great,
Yeah,
who
just keep
knows? I'm gonna keep going. I mean, the job satisfaction. We had a graduation here a week ago this past Friday. Several students I worked with and accomplishing that were deficient in certain areas of physical training, and were able to get them up to par, and they passed and got through. And the feeling to see them on the graduation floor, to know you helped them overcome that obstacle and overcome that. I'm feeling at school I'm not going to make it. I'm
going.
worried, I'm concerned, and to get them over that hump, to meet that first obstacle. Hey, I can do this. To see where their careers are going to go, and hoping to see within the next 10 years a few of the familiar faces come back and be
Yeah.
instructors as they did in the past.
Yeah, that's super fulfilling. Yeah, I believe, it's not about usually ever quantity, it's the quality. And that's about life as well. Like the quality of life. If you're doesn't matter if you're 70, 80. I've never been that old, so I don't know. I can't really comment, but if the quality of life is good, then that's all that matters. And that honestly, that helps you get to that age and live a more purposeful life as opposed to
Oh, that
just hanging out on the couch eating ding
yeah,
dongs.
that whole diet, rest, and exercise really that we were told when we were young, it makes a huge difference.
Hmm.
And uh,
When you're
I
young, you listen to it and you're like, yeah, whatever, because you can recover, you can drink all night, and then
you're indestructible when you're 19. You remember? You're
yeah.
right.
No, no, I
Everything.
still am, but
Well, that's awesome. I think I've learned a little bit within and taken through wisdom. I'm not quite indestructible as I used to be, but it's
Mhm.
starting its wear and tear a little bit. But I could still, I'm going to find out over the next couple of years how far and how hard I
Mhm.
can push myself because there
That's
are
impressive.
certain personal goals that I want to reach. So we'll
That's
see.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. Goal setting is so important. All right, let's pivot over to a 1 minute hypothetical scenario. Okay.
Okay.
So this is just something fun that I'm doing, and actually that could be interesting. Okay, I have some different options. I chat GPT'd it to see like some, well, if I chat GPT like what's an impossible rescue, your name will come up. So I have to like take it beyond
Oh,
the
oh, really?
universe and get something interesting. Okay, so the scenario is avalanche survivors on a glacier. You ready for this?
This sounds like this is your rescue.
Not today. Not today, because when we get in that helicopter, we never know what we're launching for. And guess what, buddy? You're
I
launching
got
for,
it today, huh?
yep, today you're launching, you're not in Florida today. Today you're up in Alaska off the coast and the launching the Alert 30 Helo, Bill
Hmm.
Gibson dressing out as a swimmer. Okay, here's the scenario. And all I'm looking for is what's going through your mind as you are getting dressed or en route to rescue these survivors on a glacier. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the scenario. An avalanche has trapped several skiers on a remote glacier. Rescuers must contend with unstable snowfields, crevasses, and high altitude conditions that limit helicopter performance. That's all you got.
That's all I've got. Okay. Um, my primary objective again is, I'm thinking, okay, how many people, how many survivors, how many people are there? Uh, and again, I still say you can argue with me, but I know this is your rescue. You're good with the avalanche. I haven't done any land SARS. Everything was over water. Um, what's it going to take to get them up in the stage and get them up? I mean, that's the primary thing. They're going to be hypothermic, I'm sure. What's it going to be? How are they going to be? What type of aircraft? I mean, even then, at that point, what are they flying up there on a regular basis that they do the rescues on now?
Mm-hmm.
So the type of aircraft you've got in, so you're analyzing all this. It's not an H-46, so I can't bring them all up at once. Once I imagine it would come up as you're being hoisted down. That's my whole thought process in the back. How many people? How am I staging for room? Medical, the communications going back. Where can we get? What's the quickest thing? We have medics on board that we're able to take care of them and get them to safety, get them a safe spot, get them away from it, and hopefully, I can't imagine with an avalanche situation of searching and seeing them. Again, questions you're probably asking on the way en route there.
Mm-hmm.
All details of the information you're getting. How can what are you going to be? What are they wearing? How many people? What are they wearing? You're going to be able to spot them in the snow or where they might be location wise. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, there's
and
no good
yes,
answer, right?
there really isn't out of that. You're just hoping. But the main onset, I think, is the belief that you're going there to save them and keep that mouth. They're going to be alive. You got to have again. It's hope and
Hmm.
belief that you're going to get to them. You're going to get them out of that situation. You're not going to stop until you're exhausted. Yeah, how long can you search? Where is your backup? So hopefully, again, and this good crew coordination. What's our game plan? Do we have a backup bird that's going to relieve us so we can get back and get fuel so we can keep the continuous search going on?
Hmm.
Because we don't quit until we get them up. And when we do find them, what's the game plan?
Yep.
How are we going to bring them up? Is this going to be a hoist situation? I mean, with an avalanche, is there still unstable snow? How low can we go? How high would to get these people out of there?
What's fun is this is a 1 minute hypothetical scenario, and no one sticks to a minute because there's so much. And as a rescue swimmer, you never know what you're launching for. You're trying to map it out in your head as you're launching. You're getting misinformation. Even yours, the rescue that you talked about earlier,
Oh,
initially it was
there's
20
20
people.
people, And we're
There was
like, we're,
four.
we're getting an extra raft. I remember, okay, go back to standby, grab an extra raft. Don't forget to reload the standby. We're going to go in there. We got an H3. We can't, okay, we're going to stage them. We're going to get this done. We're going to go back, have the standby bird ready to go. So, I mean, here we were prepping up the whole time via communication. Pilots are talking to them, and they said, okay, no, wait, we got word. There's not 20 people. It's a smaller boat. We just don't know how many people, which really wasn't, it's going to be less, but we
Hmm.
didn't know how many less. I mean, 18?
You're
What do we
right.
mean? So we're going to go, we're going to look and we're going to see. And then we saw those people. And initially, I know the feeling when we only saw four and it was, oh my God, is how many, did we lose a bunch? Is this it?
Yeah.
And it was that fear that we didn't get there quick enough,
Yeah.
or we have found it because we were searching for a while. So yeah, and you have to be prepared for the situation again, change it every time.
I think it's fun to do like the avalanche one because it's outside your norm, but you still went through the same process that you would any rescue. Because even in your scenario, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So you were prepared, you had the extra raft, you had the misinformation, but it's all you had at the time, and you went out. Same for the avalanche scenario. You don't, how many people is this a recovery? Is this, are they all buried? Are they dead?
God,
Are they wearing
here,
beacons?
what are we looking for?
Yeah. So no,
I mean, you always dread that things are happening. You always want the perfect rescue. It's going in. Okay, we got two people in the water, or they just ejected. They're fine. They're in their raft. They're giving
yeah,
a
just
thumbs
got
up.
shot
They just
down by
want to
our
get
own
out.
destroyer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But here they are. They're all set to pick them up, and they'll be good. Get them out of the water. You're in and out in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And get them up. But and I know a lot of my friends that had rescues as such. It was quick, done, up. Everybody's happy.
Hmm.
Quick rescue, and they're on the clock, and it works out perfect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's great. Don't even count those.
yeah.
All right.
Oh,
I'm
hey, if
gonna,
they survive, they're happy. That's great. That's what we need.
all right, Bill, you've had incredible experiences that not many others can even imagine and definitely not understand. Like even people in the military, people who have served, just some of the even SAR swimmers, just the stuff that you've been through. You've just had these incredible experiences. With all of that, with the man, decades of SAR swimmer school experience and just deployments, everything that you've done, what is some wisdom that you would leave with our listeners?
Biggest things, take care of yourself, and I brought it up in there.
Hmm.
That I didn't do when I was younger. Stay prepared. The exercise routine, always take yourself up to the next level. I mean, the diet, rest, exercise, make sure you're good. And then believe in yourself. If I can instill that, I mean, that's my one goal, that from the beginning, for the first round of instructing to the second round, and even to this round right now that I teach, I've got to find that quitting point in that person, or what's the maximum they've done, and
Hmm.
push them above and beyond that to get them to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to create that doubt. Uh, Human nature and outside factors are going to be pouring that doubt on you. And in all honesty, I mean, when I was going, I was flutter kicking, but I was, part of me was that props. What's it going to feel like? What's it going
Hmm.
to? No, I
Yeah.
don't want to push, push, push. It's just back and forth. So you've got to believe you can do this. You got to push harder, and your body will do it. The adrenaline will kick in. You'll make things happen. Just believe in yourself.
No, it's great advice. Yeah, I was listening to a devotional this morning and um, didn't come out and say it so much, but it was, I don't know, I just kind of pieced things together. Whereas fear is not the same as being afraid. It's fear brings awareness and respect for whatever is causing that fear. And then our ability to react, respond in that, I don't know, the boundaries of fear. And if we if we're afraid, if we never even push ourselves to get even close to that or understand it or respect it, we just don't know what we're capable of.
Oh, agreed. I mean, fear was the biggest motivator. The fear of failure is a
Hmm.
huge motivator, and that goes back to STAR School
Yeah.
when I went through, you went through, most of these students going through, where we didn't want to be that the person who failed. We didn't want to be as back in the day, A's great, as treasurer. You're going to be out,
Right.
oh, chipping paint, on a
Yep.
carrier somewhere, and it was always played to this. You didn't want to be that person, so the fear to motivate you to push harder. And I've like I said, I felt unstoppable when I graduated that day.
Yeah.
It had grown so much internally, and
Yeah. Amazing, amazing talking to you, and just I'm just so honored to have you as a friend and to have you on the podcast. And just want to thank you for everything.
thank thank you, Brian. I mean, I appreciate the phone call, and I appreciate the invite and the book, and to share my story, and to really, and mine's just a small fragment of what's transpired over the decades since the community has evolved and what we've gone through. And this goes in response to even all of our everyday workers, the heroes out there for the police forces and your
Mhm. All the first
firemen
responders.
and ambulance first responders of what they go through on a daily basis
Yep.
and risk
So
their
true.
lives to do the same thing. It's huge.
Yep.
So
100%. Thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Calm in the Chaos podcast. Please subscribe to be notified of future episodes, and if you enjoyed what you just heard, please leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Until next time, get out there and make a difference so others may live.